Charlotte Flair won the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble, returning for the first time in over a year. She had basically like a reconstruction, I believe, of her knee. She tore her ACL. It was a bad injury, kept her out for over a year, and she made a return. She came back, and she won the Women's Royal Rumble. And there's a lot of controversy around this. I was looking up something on X, and I believe WrestleOps had reported this, that on if you go to WWE's YouTube channel and look at like the clips of who won or whatever, it's an insane number of downvotes on Charlotte Flair's video compared to like other people's, which, you know what, hey man, like look, Charlotte Flair, I will be honest, not my cup of tea. Actually, here it is. WWE's YouTube upload of Charlotte's win had 5.4K likes compared to 16,000 dislikes. And look, Jey Uso did not fare that well either. 12,000 likes compared to 16,000 dislikes. So I guess the same 16,000 people were disliking both videos. But look, Charlotte Flair, not my cup of tea as far as like, a wrestler or a TV character or any of that. But I fully understand. She's genuinely one of the best to ever do it. In my view, I see her like kind of like a Randy Orton for me. I was never a huge fan of what Randy Orton did in like on screen. It was always kind of like, all right, Randy Orton's gonna do, he's gonna do everything, and it's gonna look really good. And from time to time, he's gonna have an insane match, and that's gonna be really freaking cool. But as a character, it's just whatever it is. So for me, I'm like, I respect Charlotte and everything she's done and everything that she's accomplished, and I know that she's genuinely one of the best wrestlers out there, but it just never connected with me as a fan. And that's why the way she kind of won irked me, because you have Roxanne Perez, who has worked her tail off for years. This woman was the ROH World Champion, the Women's World Champion in Ring of Honor at the age of 19. 19. That's how good she was then. And to see the path that she has taken to get where she is now, it's crazy. And the thing about Charlotte's win is, I feel like this was done simply to have a big name win, because they didn't want to do like two surprises. Because at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, Charlotte Flair does not need to win a Royal Rumble. It doesn't really matter much from a story perspective. It doesn't really matter much from a booking perspective. It doesn't really matter much from a build to WrestleMania, because Charlotte Flair doesn't need an excuse to work her way into a main event match at WrestleMania. She can just do it. She's Charlotte Flair. Using the Royal Rumble as a plot device for that, to me, it just doesn't seem like a worthwhile strategy. But having a Roxanne Perez, having a Jordynne Grace, someone who needs that rocket ship strapped to them, much like Charlotte Flair has had that rocket ship strapped to her. One of the reasons why Charlotte is as big time as she is because she has been put over and she has had that rocket ship strapped to her so many times. But she's at the point where she doesn't need it. And she's also at a point, unlike John Cena, you could also make the argument doesn't need it. But for him, there's a story of his last run. If they were telling the story of Charlotte's last run, let's do it. I could be down for that. My point is, I think other people probably should have been in a position for that over Charlotte. Because at the end of the day, Charlotte can come out, win a match, and be like, I'm challenging for the world title because I'm Charlotte freaking Flair. I'm a 16-time women's world champion. That's what I do. Meanwhile, Roxanne, that could help catapult her entire career. And she could be the next Charlotte Flair. She could be the next Becky Lynch. She could be the next, face of this company. But they didn't do that. And I think in part it was, all right, Charlotte is established. We're already going to put Jey over later on in the night. Let's have Charlotte come back and return and win. And again, I'm not going to be one of these people who's like crashing out like, this is the worst booking decision that WWE has ever made. I'm not going to be one of those guys. But I mean, it's number one, not for me. And number two, I think from a storyline perspective, it is more of the same. I think that there's a better story to be told with Charlotte having to work her way back into the main event scene. And that adversity. And especially if she's going to be a babyface moving forward. I don't think that, her doing the whole Charlotte Flair wins lull thing is going to work. But she is probably, and again, I say probably, like, going to face Rhea Ripley. I would see that as the big match for her. More so than Tiffany Stratton. Although Tiffany versus Charlotte, like the imagery of those two face-to-face in the ring, that could be really cool. But either one of those matches, I'm kind of like, it's not like we needed her to win the Rumble to get to here. But it does feel like, had a Jordynne Grace, or who probably is going to NXT, which is why they didn't do it, but had a Roxanne or a Bayley or an Io Sky, someone who probably needed that in order to catapult her into that discussion. Because with Charlotte Flair, it's automatic, right? And also, man, the way that she won was kind of anticlimactic. I'm not gonna lie. Like the whole big boot to the outside, I was like, oh, all right, man. It really was. Charlotte Flair wins low. And it's what it is. I'm very happy again that she's back and that she is able to do this, because at the end of the day, I'll even say this: having Charlotte Flair in your company, having Charlotte Flair on your TV show makes your TV show and your company better than not having Charlotte Flair, because it makes a direct impact on both business and the in-ring product. I remember there was a match that she and Rhea had. I think it was 2021 Money in the Bank. And they absolutely killed it. Even though the fans in the beginning were turning on them, Charlotte and Rhea just looked at each other and they got them back in one of the best displays of pro wrestling I've ever seen. Fantastic. You could have recreated that. Or you could have gotten there, but I don't think she needed to win the Rumble. Maybe, and that's really my point. I think it to me, it came off as anticlimactic, came off as and again, happy for her, but it is what it is. But guys, let me know in the comments, in the chat, what you guys think. Do you think Charlotte Flair should have won the Rumble, or should it have been someone else? Also, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.